Hi, it's me, Aaron again. Well, I'm going to talk about how to run, and before that, I'm just going to say, if you are a runner, that's great, and just try to keep your comments to a minimum. I'm just doing this just for other people that have never ran before, or who is just starting up. I'm just giving them a heads up because everyone's body is different. Not everyone's the same. And on the other note is that I am not a doctor. Do not ask me for doctoral or physician type things. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not a chiropractor or anything. I have done EMT classes. I've done anatomy, physiology. I've taken physics. I've done a lot of different things. A lot of different classes, and just memorized a lot of different sports I've done in the past. There's been at least 6 or 7 sports that I really get good at, and I also did more sports, but beyond that, today is just about running and how proper technique and the different science behind it and the health behind it. And how to prevent yourself from getting hurt. And also, the other factor is that I'm also going to do a review for my last video, which was for the sodium potassium, which I want to start off on that. But yes, if you know all this, if you're taking biology or taking anything, just refrain from outlashing at me if it's wrong or I'm wrong. It's just the research I've done so far, and I just want to let out all the research, so instead of people that don't read, or if they don't read and or just aren't clueless, I'm just trying to make it awareness for other people. So please refrain from trying to say that I'm wrong or I'm right or whatever, because there's always going to be a new research study that says, oh, this is good, or oh, that was bad. So anyways, let me start off with doing the review from my last video. It was just basically about how the chemical reaction between potassium and sodium in our bodies, the reaction creates the initial energy to move our muscles. I mean, it's like this. This takes energy itself. But in order for that to happen, you need some kind of charge or electrical charge, and it's all explained in my last video. So if you want to look at the last video, that would be really great, and then I can get more views. But it's just about how this, right? If you ever, for those who take biology, ATP, right? Energy taking for the cells to move something, or energy at all. Just remember that that is partially correct, because you do need your cells to go through a chain reaction between energy and a pulsation from initial reaction from your brain to move, even for this for me to move my arms and hands. Now, I'm not trying to be boring or anything. I am going to do different drawings on my board if you haven't seen it before, and please refrain from laughing at me. It was a gift from kids that I worked with. But so now we got that out of the way, the review. It's about how you run too. The science behind it is about how to run properly. And if you're a sprinter, or if you've seen people sprint, even if you go to looking at Olympic track runners, now those are the people you want to look at for actual technique on how to look at it. But the technique is basically you want to stay on your toes and have your body in front of you. What I mean by that is basically your body. I'm just going to stick figure. Sorry, I'm just kind of tired today. refrain from laughing at me. So basically, that's what kind of it should look like, where your toe are touching the ground. Just your toes. Not the heel, not that heel. It's just basically on your toes. You want to drive yourself forward for that initial reaction. That's how you move your body faster. And if you pump your arms, if you want to practice pumping your arms for track runners that are just starting out, or if they're going to high school, there is different techniques, different ways you can train, but I'm not really here for that. And if you have questions, I can try to do the best of my knowledge for track runners. I was more of a mid-distance and a long-distance runner, and even though I did do hurdles and stuff, it wasn't my forte. But there is an initial saying where wherever your head goes, your body will follow, and that is a truth behind that, because like there is something in your head, like where in your ear, and I can't really name that specific part of your ear right now. I can't think. I'm so tired right now, but it's basically, it tells you where up and down is, where the floor is and where the sky is, where the left and right is, and basically it keeps your body balanced. If I didn't have it, I'd be like this. I'd be going all over the place, and that is something that'll keep your balance. And so that's why I say, if wherever your head goes, your body will follow. And anyone that does know how to do fighting or techniques, as in like judo or anything, wherever they push the head, they'll follow too. But I'm not really a person to do sprinting. I'm mostly here for long distance and mid distance. Now, the technique should, well, your foot should look like this, where it should be making a smiley face, like that. That should be your technique. Now, before you say, "Oh, well, that's stupid or dumb," well, I'm going to get to the part where basically you're going to be hitting heel, ball, toe the whole entire time. So heel, ball, and then what I mean by ball instead of that part is the actual foot in the front part, where it's right next to your big toe, and it looks like it's protruding out, where it looks like a ball. That's why I call it a ball. And it's just my own reference on how I talk about it. And if I talk about other things in my next videos, it's going to be my ball of my foot, and then the toes are going to be toes. So just give you a heads up. So see how it says the heel, and then the ball, and then the toe. That way it'll be a smooth movement. And if you were to just take out the equation of the heel and you just went ball instead, where it just goes pressing down, that's where you get the problems, where you get the injuries, where you get all these different shin splints and stuff, and that's what you don't want. Especially different things, and I'll talk about that after. But the way that you look at it too is that the fact that when you run, is that here's your actual bone, your femur. Just pretend that's the femur, right? I'm going to take out the patella, which is the kneecap. Do the tibia and the femur. And then the toes and the feet. Alright, just pretend that's that. Just don't make fun of my drawings. I know I suck at drawing too. But the reason why I'm saying this, when you hit the actually stomp down, what you're doing is putting pressure. Now, pressure going down up to here to your foot is going to make you do flat foot, and also that's where you can also get shin splints too. Shin splints, and then you say shin splints, and you can go to your doctor, you can ask them, is shin splints part of my bone where it hurts? And it does hurt where your bone is. It feels like your bone's going to break. I haven't had them, and thankfully I haven't had them. I don't know how they feel, but I just know that they hurt like hell. Excuse me for my language, but it's not. It's actually partially your muscle that's in the front, the muscle tissue that's in front of your shin, which is also part of your tibia, and that is the factor where it is tearing. Your muscle is tearing. That is where your pain, because all your nerves are right there, and that's where you start just basically tearing them apart, and that's where all that pain is coming from. So that's why I feel so much pain through that. And also the other factor is that the initial shock is going to go up here, right? Initial shock, just in a shock. But the shock is going to go also to this disc that's in between, and that has all this fluid that keeps your muscles, your joints intact. It's basically like oil for an engine, where you want to keep that oil in there so it moves smoothly, and so that all the gears are oiled up, and basically that's what it is. It's just basically keeping those gears or your bones oiled up so that they don't hit each other, they start grinding. It's more like they actually slide through with each other. They just slide, and basically it's going to be like slippery. Basically, you don't want them to slide. You want them to be a smooth movement. And so when you stomp too, it's going to be pressing it. So basically, you're crushing the actual disc every time you stomp like this. And when you run, you will notice that when you get tired, you will start to stomp. And that's what you don't want to do. You want to try your best to keep it heel ball toe. And also the other factor is that once this actual mist is gone, they have to take everything apart. They have to do a lot of surgery, and then they do have to actually they will tell you that if you go on without it, you'll be grinding the bones into bone, and basically that bone will deteriorate, and you'll start hitting nerves that you don't want. So basically, you want to keep it smooth. Another factor is you don't want to stop right then and there. You don't want to stop just suddenly, because that also puts initial reaction to your muscles, to that shock factor, where just all that shock goes all the way through your legs. And the same with running downhill. You can run uphill easily and smoothly without hurting or injuring anything. But when you run downhill, you want to try to keep yourself from stopping yourself from going, because that will actually hurt you even more damage than just running a flat land. When you do run downhill, you kind of want to keep your back arched more back than normal when you run. That'll alleviate part of the shock on it. But when you're running up the hill, you want to lean forward as if you're pulling a rope and yourself up the rope to the area that you're trying to go to. That way it will alleviate the actual stress on your legs. But yeah, if you're going to run, you want to keep enough water. And that's just part of the whole technique now, and the reason, the health behind it. And there is another thing called pedal fasciitis, and that's basically where you run and your heel basically has no more tissue to block it from your bone hitting the nerves or whatever. And you can actually look it up online, is that there is a lot of basketball players too that when they jump and they come back down, sometimes they will fall on their heels of their feet. That's also the factor where they start hurting themselves and everything. Now I'm going to talk about the ways to keep yourself from injuring yourself, from preventing yourself from injuring. I would try finding techniques on how to build up your calf muscles, because then it'll tighten basically what you want to do is when you tighten up or tone up your body, because heavier weights, which I personally don't like using real heavy weights right away where it's basically you max out to only 1 or 2 reps, is just the fact that you can do at least 15 to 20 per rep. And basically what happens is that how can I really explain it? It's more like the muscles. Let's say that this is the tendon, right, or the tendon that actually pulls. This is the muscle that's coming onto it, so it pulls it and keeps everything in place and tight, and that's what you want. You want to keep everything tight. But after a while, like say if you don't work out or you're doing too much weight, your actual muscle and your ligaments will start to pull apart, and it'll stretch and it'll stretch and it'll stretch, and then it will be worthless. That's where you don't want to go. And the reason why I'm saying you want to tone up, you want to keep it so that there's less movement. More movement that there is, the more that it's going to start pulling apart. Like I said, the way you can prevent it is by doing something that will keep your calves, a little bit of your hamstring. You can do a little bit of squats. I mean, don't try to do too much weight for squats if you're going to be like a heavy runner. But if you also are trying to do other things, I actually prefer that you would do core, because core does basically core will, it's like right here, core is basically part of your legs and up to your chest area. So in between your chest, so chest down under, that's basically your core. And the core actually is where your balance is, because if you're moving all over the place up here, that's where your body starts going to move all over the place over there. You can control your upper body too. That means your lower body will be controlled as well, and that will prevent you from pulling anything. That will prevent you from actually spraining anything, as in your ankles, like spraining your or even pulling your groin or whatever. I've seen people do it because their body is going out of control, and you want to keep it as stable as possible. The way you can keep it, like I said, is by doing some kind of core workout right after. And if you do core workout, you will get your abs right then and there. Push-ups are part of core. Sit-ups. There's things called Supermans. If you ever want to look it up, there's Supermans. There's I don't know. There's a lot of different things. Crunches. There's bicycles, which I call bicycles, and I can do a video on that later. If you want a video on an exercise video, and if I get enough feedback from your comments, then I will make one. And the only thing is for you is just drink water. And if you want, and for those that are running, if you're going to do long distance the next day, is that you should eat pasta the day before. The reason why is those carbs will turn to sugar by the time you start running that day. The next day is because the day before, those carbs are just carbs, and they'll break down to sugar by the next day. You'll have sugar in your body to use, and that's what you want. And well, this other thing is, it's just ridiculous how people say, oh, I don't want carbs because I'm going to get fat. If you run and do the workout and find the right diet, you will lose weight, and you will see a big difference. And there's a lot of different things they can do. And if you have more comments or questions, just message me or comment me, and I will comment or answer your questions back as soon as possible. So you can comment me if you want. If not, and you just want to leave this video alone, that's fine with me. And for those that are runners, thank you for listening to me rant, because I know that you've probably heard all this before, or I've done this all before. But I'm just doing this as an awareness to those that don't even know what they're doing, or they're just starting out, or if you just want to learn some interesting facts or even research. And if you have done your research and you're saying that I'm wrong, I'm not saying that I'm right. Is that everyone has a different workout routine and different things. So thank you, and just comment me if you have any questions.